Hello students, how are you people? Very good. Yes, I hope you are doing well. And in the earlier class we have discussed about the male reproductive system. In today's class we will discuss about the female reproductive system. Okay. So, as such, the female reproductive system appears to be simple, but functionally it is very complicated. Okay? So, female reproductive system very much functioning differently in the before sexual maturity. Yes. The hormonal levels will be very much different, function is different at the time of maturity or sexual, what you can say, puberty, and then during menstruation, physiology is different, during ovulation, the physiology differs. So, like normal reproductive cycle is different, again it varies very much at the time of what we can say during the pregnancy. Okay, and again the physiology keep changing definitely at the time of menopause also. Now, in the female reproductive system, what we are going to study mainly the primary sex organs. Yes, primary sex organ, mainly they are pair of what we say pair of ovaries. Ovaries are not only the structure of the ovum production, but also they are the endocrine structures to produce progesterone and estrogen. Secondly, yes, we will discuss about the secondary sex organs. The secondary sex organs includes mainly, we can say that the fallopian tubes. Fallopian tubes, also known as oviduct, then uterus, then cervix, as well as vagina. Other than this, pair of mammary glands. No doubt the mammary glands nowhere involved in the production of gametes, but their physiology and their anatomy varies according to the sex hormones. They are the important part of sexual life also, we can say mammary glands. So, we can say that the sex organs, fallopian tubes, yes, they are the paired structures, whereas uterus, cervix and vagina, these are the single structures. Okay, whereas ovaries also paired structures and mammary glands also paired structures. Well, here when we are talking about female reproductive system, yes, it is also called as inverted pear shape. So, we can say that the female reproductive system appears to be like this. So, we can say that on the either side there will be the fallopian tube. So, this shape is called as inverted pear shape. Inverted pear shape. The details of the female reproductive system, let me mention here. The human female reproductive system, the details as such. If we consider, yes, it is inverted being a pear-shaped structure, we can find mainly the presence of the outermost, yes, layer is called the perimetrium, yes, and then we find here the narrow lower structure. This is a muscular structure, what we call it as mainly the cervix. Yes, here it is the cervix, and then here it is mainly the structure called vagina. So the cervical canal as well as vagina together is called as the birth canal also. And what we find, this is much more important and glandular, hormonally sensitive structure, which keep on renewing itself every now and then with the hormonal fluctuation during menstrual cycle. And this inner much more folded glandular layer is called as endometrium. We find here on the either side mainly by the ligament structure, ovarian ligament we call them, and here is the structure attached, and these are called as ovaries. So female reproductive system present in the lower pelvis region. So what you are observing, these are the fallopian tubes. As such, fallopian tubes are very narrow tube structure, and they are around 10 to 12 centimeter by length. Here, a funnel shaped structure, and then it is called as infundibulum we say, and then the ampullary structure, much more dilated part, and they exhibit at least 10 or at least 8 to 10 finger like projection which always surround the ovary. They are called as fimbriae. So what we find here, mainly the finger like projections of fimbriae. Yes, it is a funnel like shaped structure, and then there is mainly the dilated part ampulla, and then isthmus we call it as. So this is what we say in the female reproductive system. Inside this is the uterine cavity, we call it as uterine cavity, which is the site for the development of the embryo of the future. Okay, and then we find here this is the dome-shaped structure, is also known as the uterine fundus. Uterine fundus, and then here there are three important parts, mainly the finger-like projections, we call them the fimbriae, and the funnel-shaped infundibulum, and then this is the ampulla, and this tubular part isthmus. This entire structure, what we call it as the oviduct or fallopian tube. Fallopian tube, or is also known as oviduct. Okay, so other than this, here what we find, it is the ovary. This ovary is somewhere around 2 to 4 centimeters in its length, and it is attached to the uterine wall mainly by the ovarian ligament. Ovarian ligament. Yes. So this fallopian tube or the oviduct, what we say, is also around 10 to 12 centimeters in its length. And then, yes, what we find, the innermost is glandular, what we call it as a endometrium. Endometrium is the inner layer. Then much more muscular layer is called as a myometrium, middle. The outermost is called as perimetrium. Perimetrium, outermost thin layer. Now, here what we find mainly, yes, it is the cervical canal, and here is the vagina. These together is called as the birth canal. And moreover, very important thing you need to remember, that the fallopian tube from inside onwards, yes, they are having ciliated epithelium. Presence of ciliated epithelium helps in the passive movement of the egg or transportation of the egg. Okay, so here it is inner ciliated epithelium. Ciliated epithelium. What is the role of the ciliated epithelium? That provides the passive movement of the egg. So this is what we talk about the overview of the female reproductive system. It is located in the lower pelvis region or lower abdomen region, and it is inverted pear shaped by structure, and what we find, it is mainly the three-layered structure as such. So the wall of the uterus having the three important structure, inner endometrium keep on undergoing the cyclic changes. It will, yes, disintegrate during the menstrual phase. Again, it will regenerate during the proliferative phase, as well as it become too much thick during the luteal phase, or when corpus luteum will be very active producing progesterone. That's the time it become thick. So endometrium keep undergoing cyclic changes. So female reproductive system inside every mainly menstrual cycle, it reduces itself. Okay, and then very next to that we can find the muscular myometrium. What is the role of myometrium? Yes, at the time of parturition, rigorous contractions are very essential. That is done by myometrium, that help during the time of child delivery. And then outer perimetrium is just a protective layer. So here what we find mainly the vagina and then the cervical canal. This is the muscular part called as cervix, and inner cervical canal. Cervical canal and vagina together called as the birth canal. Okay, inner uterine cavity, dome shaped structure, uterine fundus is there. So 10 to 12 centimeter long structure called as oviduct or fallopian tube. What are the parts of fallopian tube? Definitely the long isthmus, and then this part is dilated part called as the ampulla, then the infundibulum, funnel shaped infundibulum, then finger-like projections, fimbriae. What is the use of fimbriae? Yes, they will always covering the ovary. As and when the ovary release the egg, they collect the egg. So there is no chance of losing the egg in the mainly abdominal cavity. Okay. So this is what we talk about the female reproductive system, which is the inverted pear-shaped structure, where it has mainly the uterus, single, cervix, single, vagina is a single structure, but paired structures are mainly the oviduct as well as ovary. So ovary is not only the just structure of gamete production, it is also endocrine gland. We can say it is also site of production of mainly estrogen and progesterone. And then the oviduct inside it has what? Ciliated epithelium that helps in the passive movement of the egg. So the movement of the cilia that create a flow of the fluid, oviducal fluid, that carries the egg up to here, where there is a chance of fertilization. Okay, and if the sperm is present, and then yes, this is what we talk all about the ovary 2 to yes 4 centimeter length, oviduct 10 to 12 centimeter length, vagina can be around 4.5 to 6 centimeter in length, cervix can be around 10 centimeter in length, and the uterus or the womb, what we call as the highly muscular structure, it has inner glandular layer, hormone sensitive layer called endometrium, middle muscular myometrium, outer is the perimetrium. Okay, so now when we look at mainly the endometrium as such, it possesses what we call as endometrium inside having lots of these loops. So this is mainly undergoing lots of changes, and this is called as the stratum functionalis. Stratum functionalis, because it undergoes changes according to the change in the hormone level, and its base is called as stratum basalis. Stratum basalis, its base. So thus we have discussed about mainly the complete overview of a female reproductive system. We need to understand the details of mainly the ovary, what actually ovary inside it has, right? After that, yes, we will discuss about mainly the details of the vagina and then its internal parts. Then we will discuss about the mammary gland. So what we have discussed so far, overview of the female reproductive system. Okay, how the ovaries are attached to the uterine wall? What is the structure? Ovaries are attached to the uterine wall by ovarian ligament. These things you need to remember, because your diagram is very important, because they may be just labeling will be given as A, B, C, D. You need to identify them. Okay, fine. Now let us understand now the structural details of ovaries as such. Then we discussed about the mainly vagina, as well as we have to discuss about the mammary gland details also. So that is all about the female reproductive system. Now here let us understand the details of the ovary. So ovaries, ovary also called as the female gonad. Gonad means the primary sex organ. Okay. The ovary will be having the structure like this. Yes. What we find mainly in the ovary, yes, it is highly, what we can say, glandular by nature, and it appears to be like, yes, granular. So here, the stalk of the ovary, we call it as hilus. And then what we find? We find this is the germinal epithelium. Okay, yes. What we find is mainly germinal epithelium. Fine. And then we find inside this part, inner core part, is called as the medulla. And outer, this part is called as the cortex. Cortex, medulla together is called as the stroma of the ovary. Okay? And yes, we find inside the medulla the blood vessels, ovarian arteries and ovarian veins, and also we find lots of connective tissue fibers inside, mainly the medulla. So yes, ovarian blood vessels. We can find here basically there are the smaller structures, the group of cells nourishing a small, what you can say, the ovum inside. These are primary follicles. Primary follicles. A follicle is what? Actually it is a group of or cluster of cells having a cavity inside. These primary follicles keep undergoing the growth, and then the cells are dividing, redividing, so they can form multiple layer of cells. Okay, yes, they form a multiple layer of cells, and they do have the egg cell inside. So we call it as a secondary oocyte or secondary follicle. This kind of secondary follicle, yes, keep growing to its maximum size. Yes, they keep growing to the maximum size. And now it has reached a stage having the ovum elevated on the layer of cells, and then they do exhibit the presence of a cavity also, and that cavity is filled with the liquid antral fluid, we call it as. Okay, here it is the antrum, the cavity, A-N-T-R-U-M, antrum. And then we find here the oocyte inside the egg cell is developing, and lots of these granular cells, okay, theca granulosa cells we call them. It is a highly matured, we call it as the tertiary follicle. Tertiary follicle is also known as the Graafian follicle. Yes, Graafian follicle. Okay. Now, this Graafian follicle, yes, undergo much more rapid growth, and ultimately it ruptures. So it ruptures and then leading to the release of the egg. Now we call it as, it is a secondary oocyte. Every time the egg is released, it is known as secondary oocyte. And after releasing of the egg cell, yes, this mechanism is called as ovulation. Ovulation happens. Okay. After ovulation, what is going to happen with this? Outer covering of the follicle is going to enclose itself. Yes, now it is going to develop as a structure called as corpus luteum. It is the main structure that is known to produce what we can say the hormone progesterone, which is very essential and important for what? Pregnancy. Okay, maintenance of the pregnancy. So corpus luteum, the source of a hormone called as the progesterone. And then if there is no fertilization occurred in that female and the corpus luteum, yes, there is no pregnancy, no fertilization occurred, corpus luteum going to be regressed. Okay, yes, it is going to be regressed. We call it as corpus albicans. Corpus albicans. And thus it degenerates. Okay, this is what we talk about the primary sex organ of the female called as ovary that exhibit different stages of the follicles under development. Okay, well, so here what we talk about mainly the ovary. Yes, how many ovaries the female will have? Normally the female will have only 2 ovaries, right and left. And in case of the female, production of the egg or the oocyte, only 1 egg is released per what you can say ovulatory phase or per cycle. So thus a female can produce what we can say around 12 eggs per annum or per year. Okay, so that is why every time there is only either right ovary releasing the egg or left ovary releasing the egg. Alternatively, they release the egg because number of the eggs remain in the female until she reach sexual maturity. Hardly there will be around 400 eggs she can be able to release. In case of the male, millions of sperms are produced, but in case of female, every ovarian cycle will lead to the formation of or release of one secondary oocyte only. There is no multiple number of eggs are produced. That's why, yes, very cleverly the system works, and alternatively the ovary releases one egg mainly one after the other month. Means 1 month right ovary releasing the egg, the left ovary is in the preparatory phase, right? So next month left ovary is releasing the egg, right ovary will not release the egg because it is in preparatory phase, like that. Okay, so this is what we talk about mainly. The female gonad or ovary is highly what you can say granular structure because it appears granular due to the presence of the follicles at different stages of development. Primary follicles have limited number of cells, they are smaller in size. Secondary follicles at least 8 to 10 layer of cells. Tertiary follicle or graphene follicle has around 10 to 20 layer of cells with the antrum or the cavity in which it is filled with the nutrient fluid we call the liquor folliculi that nourishes the developing the egg cell. And then when there is a release of a hormone called as LH that causes a rupturing of the graphene follicle that leads to the release of the secondary oocyte. And then once the secondary oocyte is released, the outer cover closes itself and it becomes corpus luteum, that is the source of progesterone. And if the female is pregnant, pregnancy continues, then the corpus luteum remain active for all the 9 months. If she is not pregnant, this will degenerate within a week of time or 10 days of time. It becomes corpus albicans, progesterone level fall down. Then there is the endometrium, thickness cannot be maintained. Now the female will shift into menstrual phase. Okay, this is all about mainly the primary sex organ in the female, what we call it as a ovary. Now let us understand the next structure is mainly the vagina. So what are the structural details of the vagina? Here we are going to discuss now. So as such, the females in the vagina, there is a partially covered thin membrane called as a hymen layer also present. Yes, let us understand mainly the external genitalia. External genitalia in female, it is called as vagina. It is also known as copulatory opening. It is also called as vulva. Okay? Yes. So, vulva or vagina copulatory opening. Yes, it is actually long slit-like structure between the legs, and here we find mainly a blind finger-like structure called as clitoris. Clitoris also known as pseudopenis. Okay? Yes. We find a very thin fold of layer, skin layer. These are called as labia minora. And outer thick fold of skin called as labia majora. Okay? And then we find here the vaginal opening will be like this, and it is covered with the hymen layer, which is partially covering, not 100%, it is the closing, partial cover. Okay, so it is the vaginal opening. It is mainly meant for the discharge of the menstrual fluid as well as for the insertion of the penis or for the transportation of gametes. Okay, and here we find mainly the hymen layer. It is also called as a hymen layer, a thin membrane. Above this, yes, we can find there is the presence of opening. It is called as mainly urethral opening. Urethral opening mainly meant for the release of urine. Other than this, we can find mainly the presence of hairs here. They are called the pubic hairs, and this thick, the cushion of fat, we can say, layer of fat called as mons pubis. Mons pubis. So, at the time of copulation, female also will have the secretions of the mucus fluid. That is because of the opening of the glands into the vagina. Yes, those glands are called as Bartholin glands. Yes, Bartholin glands, we can say. So thus mainly the copulatory opening or vulva or vagina exhibit these many important structures. The clitoris, a finger-like projection or bud-like projection at the upper region, highly touch sensitive. At the time of copulation, the male organ penis mainly rubs on this, and female will get the sensation and feelings and then too much of secretions. And then mainly at the time of first copulation, when the penis is inserted into the vagina, there is a chance of rupturing of the hymen layer. But the hymen layer is not always ruptured because of the copulation only. So people have a misunderstanding that if hymen layer is not there, she is not a virgin, they think. Actually, the hymen layer also can be ruptured by the horseback riding, by cycling, by swimming. Okay, sudden fall. Yes, she is moving faster. By chance, she stretches her both the legs and she falls down. So there is a chance of what we can say rupturing of the hymen layer, sudden fall or joint. And then there is too much of menstrual bleeding. That time they will insert the cotton plugs. We call them as vaginal tampon. When vaginal tampon 2, 3, 4 are inserted like this, that also will rupture the hymen layer. So, hymen layer is ruptured by various reasons. As I told you, it may be the cycling, horseback riding, it may be the gymnastics, it may be the sports, it may be the swimming, it may be the sudden fall of the joint or vaginal tampons. That's why presence or absence of the hymen layer should not be considered as an indicator of virginity. It should not be considered. Fine. So, thus, in case of the female genital opening or vagina, we find an outer fleshy layer called as labia majora, inner membranous layer, skin-like structure, labia minora. We find vaginal opening, and above that we find the partially covered hymen layer. We find urethral opening for the release of urine. Many times females suffer with the urinary tract infections along with the, because the urethral opening is above the level of vagina, few drops of urine enters into vagina, that causes the infection. Now here we find the clitoris also, yes, we find the mons pubis. These are the structural details related with the female genitalia. We need to understand that there are few, what we can say, organ homology. Okay, what is the organ homology? What we find, similar kind of structure we can find in both male and female. So in the male as well as in the female. In the male, sex organs are testes. In the female, ovaries. In the male we find mainly vas deferens. Vas deferens, what we call as mainly sperm duct. In the female, what we find? Fallopian tube. Fallopian tube or oviduct. Vas deferens also known as the sperm duct. Fallopian tube is known as the oviduct. Okay? Yes. Then, in the first, second, third. In the male we find penis. In the female we find clitoris. It is also called as the pseudopenis. Okay? In the male we find prepuce. In the female, labia minora. Skin flap or fold of skin inside. In the male we find a scrotum, scrotal sac, the bag or pouch like structure that protects the testis. In the female we find labia majora. In the male we find prostate gland. In the female we find Skene's gland. In the male we find the bulbourethral gland. In the female we find Bartholin's gland. Bartholin's gland. So these are what we can say structural homology or organ homology in the male and female. Well, hope you have noted down this. So thus we have discussed about mainly female reproductive system, structure of the ovary, as well as the structural details of the vagina, as well as the organ homology. Now, what is remaining we have to discuss is all about the structure of the mammary gland. Let us go ahead with that. Here, when we talk about mammary glands, yes, the most important part of the female reproduction, because they undergo lots of changes due to the sex hormones only. Let us understand mammary glands, the structure of the mammary glands. They are also known as sudoriferous glands. Sudoriferous glands. They are modified sweat glands. modified sweat glands. Okay. As such, the mammary glands, their structural and functional unit, we call them as mammary alveoli. So, inside the breast, we can find clusters of these structures which are known for the production of the milk. So, we call them as mainly alveoli or mammary alveoli. Okay? So, this entire structure is called as mammary lobule. Mammary lobule. That means this is the female nipple and then it is the breast as such. They are open here. At least 50 to 20 like this mammary lobules. Okay. So thus the 15 to 20 mammary lobules, and each lobule inside will have like this kind of mainly milk producing structures. We call them as a mammary alveoli. Mammary alveoli. And then mammary alveoli, yes, after the secretion of the milk, they will, yes, mainly send the milk through the alveolar duct. Mammary alveolar duct. Yes, after this, the duct further they open into what we call it as mainly mammary ampullae. Mammary, single is mammary ampulla. So, mammary alveoli, then mammary alveolar duct, mammary ampulla, then what comes next is mainly here it is called as mammaries. Before they open up into the mammary ampulla, the structure is called as a mammary duct. Mammary duct, then mammary ampulla, then lactiferous duct. So, lactiferous duct, like this, many lactiferous duct, they open up at a particular single point and we call it as a nipple. Okay? So, this is what we say the point of the release of the milk nipple is. As such, the breast or mammary gland, yes, like this, and here we find a dark circle, a dark band. Yes, it is a smooth connective tissue we can say, and it is called as areolar tissue. Areolar tissue is present, and above this what we find smooth muscles. Yes, we can find around these lobules, we find smooth muscles. And also we find the presence of good amount of fat. Fat is very essential for the production of milk. Okay, presence of the fat varies from female to female, and also that is the reason why the size of the breast differs person to person. So the fat present here. Okay, so thus when we look at the structural detail of the mammary gland, the site of milk production is the mammary alveoli. Mammary lobule is a cluster, entire cluster. These are all mammary lobules. So, mammary lobules are 15 to 20 in number, okay, and inside they hold lots of these milk producing structure or the units we call mammary alveoli. The milk synthesized over there, then the milk further move into the alveolar duct, then they move into the mammary duct, then mammary ampulla, then yes, lactiferous duct, and then to the nipple like this. So part of the milk flow, we need to remember where it is produced in the mammary alveoli, then where it flow, mainly alveolar duct, then mammary duct, then mammary ampulla, then yes, lactic has duct, then to the outside to the nipple. Okay, so this is about the structural detail of the mammary gland. So as such, mainly the human or the primates will have the two mammary glands, whereas in case of the dogs you can find at least 8 okay mammary glands. In case of the goat or the sheep, they have only 2, but in case of cow, they have the teats 4. So like this, yes, we can find the presence of the structure or what we call the mammary gland, and it is the site of milk production, and milk production occurs only after the parturition. Okay, so here the hormone as such, prolactin, PRL, that act on the mammary alveoli for the synthesis of the milk, and for the release of the milk, smooth muscles. Yes, smooth muscles stimulated by the hormone oxytocin. So oxytocin causes contraction of smooth muscles. PRL causes production of milk. When milk is produced much, and the child put its mouth here, starts sucking. So suckling, the signals are going to the brain. Then hypothalamus releasing oxytocin, filter releasing PRL. Then the production of milk and also contraction of the muscles press this structure causes the flow of the milk. Understood? So the milk is the complete food for the child, for the infant, because it is mainly consists of water, some amount of vitamin D, it has the fat, it has the what you can say lactose, casein, protein also. Thus even it having antibodies such as immunoglobulin A that gives the passive immunity to the child. Okay, so no artificial food cannot replace the mother's milk. So mother's milk is a prime requisite for the immune development as well as overall development of the child. Okay, this is all about yes, we have discussed the mammary gland. Thus we are done with completely the female reproductive system. We need to go ahead further with what we can say that the next concept, gametogenesis. Sorry, the next concept is called as mainly menstrual cycle. Yeah, before menstrual cycle, we need to discuss about mainly the gametogenesis. After that, yes, we have to discuss about fertilization also. Yes, according to NCERT, it is mainly the male reproductive system first, then female reproductive system next, then what? Gametogenesis. After that, menstrual cycle we have to discuss. So now, let us understand what is gametogenesis. It is the production of gametes. Okay. So production of gametes. In case of the male, the process of production of gametes called as spermatogenesis. In case of the female, it is called as oogenesis. So let us go ahead with the mechanism of gametogenesis. Yes, mainly spermatogenesis we will discuss. Spermatogenesis in male occurs after the attainment of the puberty. Occurs in testes of the adult. Okay, yes, and continues throughout the life. Throughout the life. Okay. In spermatogenesis, yes, where actually in the testes. In the testes, in the seminiferous tubules. Seminiferous tubules. Inside the seminiferous tubules it occurs. Yes, as such, what is the first stage? We call it as? We call it as mainly spermatogonia. There is a germinal epithelium, yes, and that keep on dividing, which is the germinal epithelium. Then It is spermatogonia. Spermatogonia is forming what we say primary spermatocyte. What is the cell division? Mitosis. Okay, and then primary spermatocyte, yes, spermatogonia is diploid, and the mitosis result into diploid cell only. After that, the primary spermatocyte undergoing meiosis 1 and is going to form what these cells we call them secondary spermatocytes. Secondary spermatocytes are haploid or diploid? They are haploid because meiosis 1 is always reductional division. Okay. After that, these secondary, yes, spermatocytes undergoing one more time cell division, and they are forming spermatids. Okay. Yes. Spermatids are formed. So here it is meiosis 2. It is an equational division. So spermatids are again haploid only. Now these spermatids are not undergoing any division. They are undergoing a process called as transformation or metamorphosis they are undergoing. So they form, yes, 4 haploid gametes. We call them as spermatozoa. Okay, these 2 are X spermatozoa and 2 are Y spermatozoa. Okay, why? Because human male is XY. So 50% sperms are X carrying sperms, 50% sperms are Y carrying sperms. Okay, so spermatozoa are formed after metamorphosis. So now, when we talk about the formation of a primary spermatocyte from the stage of germinal epithelium, it is called as phase of multiplication. And then from primary spermatocyte up to the what we can say spermatid, it is called as the phase of growth. Okay, spermatid to spermatozoa, it is called as the phase of maturation. Phase of maturation. Okay, so one primary spermatocyte results into 4 active, highly motile, equal size spermatozoa. Understood? The whole mechanism from the stage of spermatogonia up to the stage of spermatozoa is called spermatogenesis. Understood? But the stage from spermatid to spermatozoa formation, what is called as? It is called as spermiogenesis. You need to remember this word, spermiogenesis. Okay? So, what is the mainly spermiation? So, spermiation is the release of sperms from seminiferous tubule. Means inside the testis, the from seminiferous tubule sperms are released, now collected into rete testis, vas efferentia, that we have discussed yesterday, right? So, thus you need to remember three important words. Spermatogenesis means what? From the stage of spermatogonium to spermatozoa. What is spermiation? It is the release of a spermatozoa from the seminiferous tubules. What do you mean by spermiogenesis? It is the metamorphosis of the spermatid into highly specialized active motile spermatozoa. Understood? So these are the three important terms. And what do you mean by mainly phase of multiplication? More number of primary spermatocytes formation from the spermatogonium called phase of multiplication. What do you mean by phase of growth? Yes, formation of mainly secondary spermatocytes as well as spermatid, and they are growing also, and that is called as phase of growth. And what do you mean by phase of maturation? Conversion of a spermatid, which is undifferentiated, it doesn't have any tail, nothing, but it is converted into highly motile sperm, highly specialized sperm, that is called as the phase of maturation and also known as the spermiogenesis. Okay, now the result of spermatogenesis. One cycle of spermatogenesis results into 200 to 300 millions of sperms. Millions of sperms are formed by every spermatogenic cycle. Of the 200 to 300, 60% should be normal, and at least 40% should be, yes, vigorously motile. This is all about what we have discussed regarding the spermatogenesis. Okay? You need to remember all these points about spermatogenesis. Okay. Now let us go ahead with the next concept. Yes. Before I discuss about the next concept, we need to know a little bit of details related with the, as such, mainly the structure of sperm. In fact, I will give you the comparison between the structure of sperm and egg also later. So now let us go ahead with what we can say. Hope you have noted on everything. So we will go ahead with the mechanism of oogenesis. Because content is more but time is very less. So we need to little bit faster. In fact, according to the planner, one chapter will get only 2 days chance. Within 2 days we have to finish the chapter. But anyway, let me try. So now here, oogenesis is also very important. What is the use of spermatogenesis without this? Oogenesis. So here, oogenesis, yes, it begins not during the puberty. It begins during fetal life. So when the female is growing as an embryo, that time only, yes, oogenesis starts. Now here the first structure, what it is called as mainly the oogonium. Oogonium undergoing mitosis and forming the primary oocyte. Yes, it is happening, and the primary oocyte remains the primary oocyte only because it's all here, it is the fetal life or embryonic life. Now, this is here at the time of birth. So, primary oocytes mainly in primary follicles. So at the time of birth, there will be primary follicles are more. How many? They can be 60,000 to 80,000 primary follicles. That means that many primary oocytes are there in that female, but all of them, yes, will not become the mature egg because they keep on undergoing degeneration. So from the birth, yes, again the childhood, and then she become the adult. Now here is the primary oocyte still in the same stage. Primary oocyte, yes, primary oocyte has undergone mainly kind of cellular arrest. It has been arrested, yes, up to the adulthood attainment. Yes, mainly it is arrested at diplotin of prophase 1. Why? Because here it's all meiosis is happening. Meiosis 1 is so much prolonged, it could not complete. Okay, but it will be completing only after attaining the adulthood. When there is a ovulation happening, that time the meiosis 1 will result into small size and large size. It is completion of meiosis 1. Okay, meiosis 1 completed only in the sexual attainment or adult life. So what it is called as? It is the first polar body, and it is the secondary oocyte. The secondary oocyte also, yes, the meiosis 2 is not completed. It is in metaphase 2 still. Metaphase 2. But if fertilization occurs, sperm is there, penetration of the sperm further causes division of this. So it becomes mature ovum and second polar body is formed. Second polar body and mature ovum. Mature ovum is formed by the completion of meiosis 2. Okay, so let me tell you here, mainly the oogonium going to form the primary oocyte. It is called as phase of multiplication, and primary oocyte, yes, up to the secondary oocyte, it is called as the phase of growth. Secondary oocyte up to the mature ovum, phase of maturation. Okay, well, so you need to know this one thing. When the female is a embryo or the fetus, oogonium are formed, mitotic division is happening, lots of primary oocytes are formed in the phase of multiplication. So these primary oocytes are undergoing meiosis 1, and still meiosis 1 is not at all what we can say completed in the even up to the birth or even up to the adulthood. So it is a very prolonged stage, meiosis 1. So meiosis 1 keep on happening, and at the time of birth the primary oocyte is in meiosis 1 only, and there may be around primary follicles 60 to 80,000, and when she attained the adulthood, meiosis 1 is completed. So up to that stage where it was arrested, this primary oocyte was arrested in the meiosis 1 in a diplotic stage. Okay, then after attaining the adulthood it completes. So during every time ovulation occurs, that time it is releasing mainly what fertilized, then only yes meiosis II completes. Otherwise, every ovulation end up with the secondary oocyte only. Okay, remember this. And then yes, the presence of sperm mainly induces the completion of meiosis II, resulting into the mature ovum and second polar body. This is what we talk about mainly regarding the yes. So basic difference between the spermatogenesis and oogenesis. In spermatogenesis, millions of sperms are formed. In oogenesis, every follicular cycle ends up with one single egg formation, that to secondary oocyte. And the spermatogenesis is an independent process, where the oogenesis is sperm dependent process. Sperm present, then only it completes. Otherwise, always secondary oocyte only formed. And then, so there, the spermatogenesis starts at maturity and continues throughout the life. Whereas oogenesis, it starts at sexual maturity and ceases. No more formation of the egg after menopause. Okay, it ceases at the menopause. So this is what we talk about mainly the gametogenesis as such. So thus you may be now understanding the difference between mainly spermatogenesis and oogenesis. We need to understand the basic difference between sperm as well as the egg. Okay. So what is the basic difference between sperm and egg? So let me mention here. Sperm is produced by the male, egg is produced by the female. Yes, sir. Sperm is produced in the testis, egg is produced in the ovary. Okay, fine. And then sperm can be of two types. They can be either X sperm or Y sperm, where the eggs are only X only, there is no Y. Okay, so the egg. And then sperm is highly differentiated. It has the head, neck, body piece, tail piece. Okay, head has the nucleus. Head has the acrosome formed by the Golgi complex. Right. Then the sperm carry the centrioles, where the centrioles are absent in the egg. And then sperm has the middle piece made up of mitochondria, and it has the tail piece also mainly made up of the axial filaments. This kind of structure is absent in the egg. But the egg is mainly oval or circular or discoid shape, and then the egg is non-motile. It depends on the movement of the cilia. It gives the passive movement. The egg is surrounded by plasma membrane, zona pellucida, yes, even vitelline membrane and corona radiata. Okay, so egg is generally, what is the size of the egg? The egg may be around 100 micrometer in its size, whereas the sperm is 50 to 60 micrometer in size. The speed of the sperm, okay, 1.5 mm to 3 mm per minute, whereas the egg totally depend on the movement of the fluid present in the oviduct. So these are the basic differences between the sperm and egg. Next class we discuss about the menstrual cycle also. Okay, till then take care, study well. Thank you very much.